Hello again, glorious citizens of the interwebs. And let's get back into playing with some Steam Showdown stuff. Let's see, what deck do we want to do today? What Steam Showdown deck is right for the day? Just pulling them up, bear with. Why aren't you prepared, they say. Because I'm not prepared. That's really deep, insightful material. So, Grimrick's Vile Aggregate Jundi Thingamajig, away with you. I'm done with you. Not my fave deck in the event, obviously. But, you know, it is what it is. So, what do we got instead? I've been just kind of working the list. Oh, fun. This is GTFL. We're going to do GTFL's deck today, which is going to be a 4-color ramp type thing, which 4-color ramp is fun. 4-color ramp is interesting, and it is one of the decks that both benefits and suffers because there are so many cards for it. There are so many different ways to build it. There are so many little card choices that you can make that it's actually a relief, because typically Duels suffers from a card shortage. But when you actually have an abundance of cards that you can put into a deck, then you have to really make good deck building decisions, and you have to nail down what is best in your meta, what is best for the deck itself, and those little changes go a long way. And so it's always exciting for me to check out decks like this one. And 4-color ramp, you know, what are we using our 4 colors to do? And so far, you gotta love it, right? We're doing the Radiant Flames, we're doing Rolling Thunder, all 3, which I don't know if 3 is the right for the 5-color. I know it's right for just red-green. For 5-color, I'm more skeptical, but for 4-color, but here we are. And we've also got us some Brilliant Spectrum. This is a card people love to put in this deck. At first I was like, whoa, that's really good, because drawing 4 cards is not something you get to do very often in Duels. And I'm kind of coming around. I'm not sure if I'm still as high on Brilliant Spectrum as I used to. When I first saw it, I thought it was a bad card for a number of reasons. And the truth is, it's still, in a way, that it is that bad card. But it's not as bad in Duels. Like, plenty of cards that get treated like bad cards in Standard and Modern are perfect for Duels. Is Brilliant Spectrum perfect for Duels? Sometimes. Sometimes. But I do know from experience you can't crowd this deck with too many 4-drops. And if you're going to use Brilliant Spectrum, something else can't be there. And as long as Acid Moss is so good in the meta, because of how many ramp and 3-color decks that there are, 3 or more color decks that there are, as long as Acid Moss is so good, taking it out of your deck, especially when it can fix your mana using Cinder Glades and Canopy Vista, to run a card like Brilliant Spectrum that draws 4 cards but doesn't change the board, it's often doesn't seem to be good. It seems like, now, can you have them together? Can you have both? I don't know. I'm really skeptical of that approach. It's too many 4-drops. And I would rather have Gideon. If you're going to play white and get Gideon in there, Gideon's just, he's the man. He's the boss around these parts. So you've got to get him in there. Other 4-drops, do you run From Beyond? I don't run From Beyond. I run Evolutionary Leap instead. It always gets you to Ulamog if you have a small creature base, which I usually do. Let's see, did I miss anything? Don't think so. So, thank you. It looks, yeah, no goblins allowed if you want the deck lists. No goblins allowed is the place. Swamp. Nope, no swamps. What am I doing? I'm backwards. Threw myself off for a minute. Alright, back in the game. Are we lumbering? Yes, we're lumbering. Yeah, we're getting our cinders and our canopies because we got the moss, for sure. And we might do that anyway. One prairie stream, interesting. One sun petal. Wonder how much testing went into the selection, but I like to see one of sometimes. Sometimes it's just right. And let's get these 3 wilds in. Interesting take. Okay, so we got our 60 cards. We got our kind of 4-color Converge ramp deck. It's a version of Not Black. Interesting. So let's see how much, just, for kicks and giggles before we go out there, let's see how much it has in common with our version of Not Black, or my version, I suppose. And let's see what's going on. So this is where I'm at. His deck is, there's no early removal of almost any type. It's like Radiant Flames or Bust, and this deck kind of faces the same dilemma. Cards like Fiery Impulse and Twin Bolt are a touch narrow, and the card quality in this deck, and it's kind of designed to beat other ramp decks. So, I don't know. But I do run Jotty because Jotty at least gives you a chance. If it's in your opening hand, it can buy you the time to get up there, to get to where you can cast your bigger stuff. And then as we go down the list, the Jace, the Gate Creeper, we have 1 Evolutionary Leap and 1 From Beyond instead of 2 From Beyond. That does give us a little more flexibility in the forest spot. And sometimes Leap is better, sometimes From Beyond is better. Like, they both have their places. But 2 Leaps isn't as good, and 2 From Beyonds is arguably has diminishing returns as well. So having 1 of each gives us both. Trying 2 Rolling Thunders. I run Natural Connection, he runs Pilgrim's Eye. Sometimes ramping up to 5 is really important, and you'll see why when we get up there. The Radiant Flames, the Woodland Wanderers. I run the Acid Moss. I run Kiora, but I don't run Brilliant Spectrum. Kiora is a lot like Brilliant Spectrum. You put it out, you -2, and you get a land and a critter, and then you plus it, and then a turn later you do that again. Or she gets attacked, and that's fine too. And Gideon, and then in the 5s, the Planar Outbursts and the Angelic Edicts are uncommon, but I run Tragic Arrogance right now. So many Thopters, so many go-wide strategies now in Xbox, like a freaking lot of Thopters. And that's what the Arrogance helps with. It also helps against other ramp strategies, because you just let them keep their Gate Creeper Vine, and when they play their Gaia's Revenge, or they go crazy with their, Desolation Twin, or their Eldrazi, Tragic Arrogance is the bailout. And then we've got our top end, which is Green Ward and Omnath and Ulamog. I'm not even running Oblivion Sower right now. Also, the mana base is more gate focused because we have Gate Creeper Vines instead of evolving wilds, and I've been having some success with that. But anyway, that's where I'm at on the Not Black deck, but that's not what we're playing today. We're playing the Steam Showdown version. So let's get it out there. GTFL, that's who we're playing. Or, let's see, we'll go there. I think this has most of his decks. We've got some links, so I'm reading my Twitch chat. Thanks for putting the links up, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I put a lot of the lists on my blog, but they're also on NGA. Either way is fine. Nice to have some people who haven't been able to catch me live before and are fans on YouTube. That's really cool. Yeah, 4-color ramp doing well on Steam makes sense because it's kind of a ramp deck that's built to beat other ramp decks. You have superior removal, card selection, and you don't worry as much about the early game. So in the late game where your opponent is drawing like Fiery Impulse and Radiant Flames, and you draw big answers, or you just draw more cards. And that's what it's kind of for. Let's see. Lost interest in the. We've got Mopping the Floor. He lost interest in the game because of the price increase in the free-to-play model. Videos keep you interested. I pay for the game and I don't regret it. It's one of those odd things. I definitely play this game more than probably 99% of people. I play it a lot, and I don't play other games. So that makes it really unique to me. It's such a big part of what I do that when a new set. When the game came out, I just bought the cards, and I never looked back, because I knew I'd never have to do it again as long as I could keep earning gold, and that's certainly the case that's going, you know what I mean? So I don't mind paying for it. To me, it's like a long-term investment in a lot of fun, and that's what I'm doing. So the Steam Showdown deck is GTFL's 4-color ramp, and here we go. The cards aren't different between Steam and Xbox. We get the same card pool, which is great because we can cross-test these things and see what works. And it looks like we have a good matchup. Alright, that's a bad hand. That might be a good hand if he's playing ramp. If he's not, we're in trouble. But I think we have to keep it. Gotta draw land. Shouldn't be too hard. So much of this deck produces mana. So we gotta find a mana source. A Pilgrim's Eye, a Gate Creeper will do. And we have to be up against a slow deck, and if they're playing Jotty, that is probably the case. Jotty is definitely a card that we don't mind seeing because it won't have an impact on the game, really. So that is straight up our alley. We are happy about running into Jotty here. And I would say we're probably in a great position. But let's see what happens. Mono green, perhaps? We'll probably find out for sure next turn when they pilgrimage or whatever. At this point, you know, playing around any kind of moss is silly. We just kind of have to overload the board with our dual lands and hope for the best. So here comes the eye, and white mana is what we lack. Moss will also help us set that white mana up. So the color requirements in the deck when you're playing are double blue, or not double blue, single blue, double green, double white, double red. And you should make sure you have double green first, because if you can cast an acid moss with your double green, you can set up your double white or double red through the acid moss, which is what we're gonna do here. So we got natural connection, and we're playing against red-green ramp. Alright, awesome. Just what we wanted to play. This is exactly the type of matchup that 4-color ramp is all about, is playing against other ramp decks. Not so good against other aggro decks, red decks, Thopters, anything like that, but awesome against other ramp decks. And DJ wants to know my take on the best deck in the Steam tourney now that I've tested more. I've tested more, but I'm only about half done. Only about half done. So, you know, right now, I think that Legends red deck is going to go a long way. There aren't a lot of things built to control it. So our opponent is going to play this guy, which is great for him. And it's going to force us to do this. Now, can we buy a turn and you do this and try to block with Pilgrim's Eye? We can try. How many red does he have? Just one. So if we take out his red source, it's unlikely he can remove this, or use a Rogue's Passage or a Chandra's Ignition or anything like that. So we can get a chump block in, and then we can blow up his board. And that way we get further ahead using our moss. So I think that's the play. If he had 2 red, it would be much riskier. Much riskier. We may still do it, because sometimes you have to take risks. But I'm much happier with the position because of this. No. Let's get all the white. Although we do have another Prairie Stream. I guess I should have got the red. But it doesn't matter. We have 2 of each. And let's get this out, and we'll pass the turn. Yeah, I have forgotten the Mighty Teamer, and I will continue to forget the Mighty Teamer, Nighthawk. Nighthawk wants me to remember the Teamer. remember the Teamer of Nighthawk. Remember Nighthawk the Teamer. I don't know. There's got to be something in there that we can say, but it's that deck. That deck is fun. The Flame Shadow Teamer deck. It's fun. I won't take that away from it. And I think he will win some matches. I don't think it's a total cakewalk, but it's such a... oh my goodness. It's such an oddball. Alright. Let's nuke ya. And let's convert the plains. That Animist Awakening for 0. Guys, don't don't run that card. Haven't we covered this enough? Animist Awakening just... It's not that good. Well, there's his Colossus, and that might be an issue. Our opponent's had a good draw. He's kept up just fine despite 2 moss. Let's see if we can find a solution. Actually, wait, it's going to ask me to retap anyway after I do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't keep any blue up. But the only blue card I could play is Jace, and I don't think I want to. Yeah, that's a lot of land. So we'll do it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. So we'll do it like this. We don't want to expose from beyond to the Reclamation Sage and take away our game. I keep on forgetting this isn't my deck. I'm so used to playing my version. I was like expecting to find a gate, and I have not found one. So we are stacked with the basics. So if I had known that, I would have kept the other gate creeper instead of the land, but I thought I was out of basic lands to fetch and fetching gates. Anyway, I feel stupid. I should have kept the other gate creeper. And there's the Chandra's Ignition. So that's big game. And that's going to put us at 8 and in danger of still losing this game despite having, you know, kind of the ideal draw. All he has to do is be able to break through with that Colossus now. Rogue's Passage, another Ignition will do it. So I guess we have to resolve you and fetch Ulamog on end step. So we have to keep a green up, no problem. Lumbering Falls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can't do that, so we gotta put it in the hands of this Gate Creeper Vine. Ugh! I hates it. I hates it. And yeah, I don't think it matters too much. So let's see. All he needs is a way to remove the Gate Creeper Vine. He didn't have it. What else you got? Okay, that was a misplay because now I'm going to wipe them both off the board. He should know I have the other land from the Gate Creeper I resolved the turn before. All right. Boom and boom and boom. And he concedes. Yeah. Kind of drug our way through that. I probably played wrong in a few places. As far as whether or not you should spend money on this game to continue that earlier topic, which we don't want to talk about, and I'll just leave it here. Like, your money's your money. If you don't want to spend it on the game, I understand that. No big deal. And if you do, that's up to you. Just kind of the way it works. Alright. Let's Ulamog ya. And no thanks to the block. So, I think the safe play here is just to do this again. And I'm not going to awaken a land even, because I have more things I want to do. Alright, there we go. And he's at 14, so this is a one-turn clock, so we'll do it. Make him answer the board. I will say, you know, if like paying whatever it is to unlock the cards, I really like, I can't remember. I paid for it on iPad and I paid for it on Xbox One when I bought my Xbox One, so I probably paid more than most people. But if paying to unlock these cards is kind of a big ask for you, don't play Paper Magic. Don't play Standard. Don't play, oh god, don't play Modern or Legacy. Like, to buy back into Standard, I've spent about $3,000 last year. And they were saying, you know, it's like one of the most expensive Standards ever, but that's the way it is. That's how this game is. Alright, so we got him down to 2 cards. I think it's going to be Nissa's Renewal no matter what, but you kind of want to see if all 3 Rolling Thunders are in here. How many lands. Like, if I were taking it to Spike City, we'd count how many mountains and see if screwing them off double red still does anything, but we're going to assume it can. Taste the rainbow. Alright. So, this was a pretty good game. We had the double moss draw, which should have, you know, usually just leads to a complete brutalizing of the opponent. But our opponent did fight it out, you know, to their credit. They still resolved Outland Colossus, Chandra's Ignition, and they really only needed a cheap removal spell of some kind to break through and end that game. But Ulamog does what Ulamog does. Hey, look, Rolling Thunder on the bottom. If he had had that earlier, would have been done. But we got there. We got there. All right, let's do it again. I'm gonna set my. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up looking for a game, then I'm going to run upstairs and run back really quick, and I think I can make it before, with a beverage in hand and some snacks, before I'm queued up and choosing my mulligan. So here I go! Yeah, I made it! And look, we're stuck on waiting for players to join the match, of course. As is so often the case. Man, running those stairs. I'm all awakened with endorphins and such. Stairs, stairs, stairs. I don't have a very big house, but for some reason the ceilings are reasonably high, so the stairs are a pretty good jaunt. And it's 3 floors, although the 3rd floor is technically a loft and the bottom floor is technically a basement, so it's also technically 1 floor, and it gets listed as 1,500 square feet so it's pretty small, I think, for an American house, especially a rural American house out in the middle of nowhere. It's like our neighbors are all we live in an interesting neighborhood. It's kind of a retirement neighborhood, and our neighbors all seem to have these 7,000 square foot mansions. I'm not even kidding. Like, the homes around us, I don't think there are any that are under $1 million, and most are much more than $1 million. And we live in a 1,500 square foot, basically a cabin. It's pretty funny. But anyway, it's still got high ceilings for some reason, so running the stairs is good exercise, is where I was going with all that ramble. Oh man, yeah, that's fine. I thought for a second we didn't have a forest, then I used my eyeballs, and we do. So let's see what kind of start our opponent gets off to. If it's a fast start, we want a Gate Creeper for red to Radiant Flames. If it's a slow start, we want to do green so we can moss into red for Radiant Flames. And it appears to be a slow start, so we're gonna take the go get more green avenue. A lot of basics in this deck. I don't know how much I love it. It does seem to limit the hands we can keep, but it does give us a lot of fetch targets for the Nissa's Renewals and the Gate Creepers and the Pilgrim's Eyes, and you don't want to run out of fetch targets for those, or it becomes really awkward. When you're going to run 3 Rolling Thunders too, you also can't stop fetching. You have to have enough lands to really build up to a big Thunder. And if you have too few basics, like if you have 8 basics and they're all out of your deck and you only have 1 or 2 dual lands in play, your Thunder potential is limited because now your Natural Connections don't get anything, or your Pilgrim's Eyes in this case. Yeah, bring on the allies. Oh yeah, give me some black-white allies. Talk about a deck I love to play against, black-white allies. It's silly to me that Wizards would push this whole allies versus Eldrazi thing and then give us like a really bad mix of allies. It's, in my opinion, it needs a God draw to be competitive, and even then it comes up pretty short. The allies are a pretty rough deck. So let's see what this guy can do with them. He's got his 3/4 flying first strike ally. Oh, come on, man. You know you want to attack. What could I do? What could I possibly do? Let me think. Gideon's Reproach. Maybe he's played the AI one too many times, and I know I don't attack the AI if it has white, and if it has 2 mana open and one of them is white, I don't attack the AI. Why? Gideon's Reproach. I know their games. I know what they're going to do to me. Let's set our red now. But I'm not the AI, yo. I'm not gonna Royal Spout you, bro. Don't you worry. Now, the Sliver deck, so DJ brings up the Sliver deck kind of as a reference to the ally deck. The Sliver deck was good, and the mana was bad. That was the annoying thing about the Sliver deck. You couldn't win, like, 3 games in a row, because the mana would just take a dump on you. They gave you a 3-color deck, and the only way to fix your mana was Evolving Wilds. It was just, ugh, it was so bad. It was so bad. I think we'll make this play. It's all our opponent has going, so at least it buys us 2 turns instead of, renewing first, because I don't see how that changes too much. Do we get another blue here? Like I said, double blue isn't even a thing we need. Yeah, we'll set the double red instead. Doesn't matter because we got renewal coming. But Sliver Hive, if you remember, that deck was actually just great, but if it had the dual lands that we have now, Sliver Hive would be awesome. I mean, you had the best removal in the format in one deck, which was you got 4 Shocks and 3 Path to Exile, which Path to Exile is amazing. Then you got the best bears in the format, which are Predatory Slivers, and they gave you the Haste Sliver, they gave you the Double Strike Sliver, they gave you the Thorncaster Sliver, which I call Hellrider Sliver, which most people probably don't know that reference. I thought that deck was pretty sweet, but the mana was so freaking atrocious. It was, you can tell. I still get worked up over it. It was so bad, you guys. And I'm glad they finally gave us like duelish lands, like the Cinderglade here, in duels, because they're such a big part of Magic. And it's not like it's a hard concept to grasp, right? If you're a new player, lands that produce 2 colors of mana are better than lands that produce 1 color of mana, and you learn really quickly to love them. So it's not like taking them out of the game simplified the game. It made the variance in the game and the amount of games decided by Mana Screw much higher, and that was really stupid in my opinion. Now, if you were playing Form of the Dragon in your Dragon deck, and you just slammed that down for 7 mana against Sliverhive, the game, yeah, it was abysmal. The Slivers could no longer attack, and it was sad. Let's just do this now. We don't need to necessarily, but why not? Alrighty. We've got the mana for Uli. Do we have more than enough for Uli? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can make a Scion, but then we immediately sack it. So let's just sack it now. And maybe we'll have something to do with the mana. It's unlikely. Actually, it's almost impossible. But basically what I'm saying is it doesn't frickin' matter. Doesn't matter if we sack it now or later. You away, you away. Now let's see if our opponent's ready to flesh bag. Because if they are, guess what, Green Warden? So, we are prepared for all these things. McKinney Patrol, hello. More allies. More allies versus the Eldrazi. Who do you think will win in allies versus Eldrazi? Ba-bum. Get all that in there. So my thinking here is From Beyond is the best card to get because it gets us Oblivion Sower, which gets us like a bajillion lands. And I love making that play. I believe our opponent left the game. I believe we have the AI to stomp on, so we're going to bad manners them for camera posterity. Rawr. Technically, it's not even bad manners because I couldn't win the game this turn. You see this? And oh, look at that reproach. There's that reproach. This deck doesn't have a way to get it back, so we're gonna exile. Or no, I was going to exile it, but you have to hit the other button. So, oh well. You never want your Green Warden risen from the grave or necromantically summoned if you don't have a way to make use of it in your own graveyard. So, there's that. Alrighty, let's do this. This is gonna be fun. All the lands belong to us. All your base are now belong to us. Largest Rolling Thunder of my career. I think we've got to go for it. Maybe there's an achievement I don't know about. Die! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25! That's fun. Boom! That's a lot of thunder. Threw 2 decks worth of thunder at one person. Alright, so we're gonna get one more, and then I gotta go. One more game with the GTFL deck. A deck that I do like. Let's see. It is very 4-drop heavy, and the red decks, like if it gets into the winner's bracket and is in the winner's bracket, it's gonna run into the red decks. And the red decks, I don't think will have any problem with it. There's so little resistance. Like it's Radiant Flames or bust, right? So There's only 2 of them. It's a best 2 out of 3. Red decks just jam, go at them as hard as they can, and they probably will have no problem winning the match, like whatsoever. So I can't give the deck an A or anything like that. Not with the red decks in the tournament. Not with some aggro actually showing up to the event. But I think that I gave it a B, and I think that's worthy. I think it will do really well against the other ramp decks in the field, which is, I believe I put like 46% of the field is ramp. So it will do well, and it probably should make top 8 because there's enough ramp decks that should happen. But I don't think it can really win unless it somehow completely dodges the red decks, which I believe will be in the winner's bracket for the most part. So that's my I'm standing with my grade on the deck. I like it. I like it against ramp. I just don't think it'll beat red. Other decks that might give it problems are aristocrats. That might be fast enough on a good draw, and I think there are 3 aristocrat decks to worry about. If they're fast enough, if they get out there, it might be hard to control. And I think there's one Simic Tempo deck. I think the Yonder Simic Tempo deck might be able to do well. So we've got a rematch. All right, this was the red-green ramp deck, if I remember correctly, but it was kind of the red-green monsters deck. So, man, this is a slow hand, and this is, we're really clogged on the 4s, but I think I keep it. But this is kind of the monster style deck with Zendikar Incarnate, Chandra's Ignition, noise like that. Alright, that's a good draw. If you want to read about the red decks, the red aggro decks that I'm talking about, or any of the decks I'm just rambling on about, I wrote up about each of them on Haunted Flower Duels Diaries, and I also, they're also on No Goblins Allowed. And links were posted earlier in the chat, but you can go to No Goblins Allowed, the thread called Steam Showdown. It's some of the very first posts in the thread. And you can also go to Haunted Flower Duels Diaries and look at the recent blog entries. And it looks like DJ's already on it, so I don't have to say nothing. Love it. Alright. So our opponent got the quick start, I suppose, with the little Perilous Mirror Blister Pods, and now the Natural Connection. So he's rolling. They're rolling. Now, is this worth Radiant Flamesing? I think so. I don't know what else our Radiant Flames is going to hit. It's not going to be useful against Zendikar Incarnate, you know what I mean? Or Outland Colossus. It does give him a mana with his Blister Pod. I don't know how badly that will punish us. But I think we do it. Yeah, let me think. I just don't see this card getting better. I don't see it getting better as the game goes on. And I can't think of anything else it hits, so we're going to do it now. So, the big problem here, he's got 3 cards left. If one of them, or the card on top of his deck, is an Outland Colossus or a Zendikar Incarnate, we're in big trouble. If they're not, we're in the game. Hey, there's an Incarnate. Now, if he doesn't have more lands... He does. Okay. Everything's going south really fast. Alright, so now the strategy has to be like Acid Moss into Renewal into Thunder, or Acid Moss into Thunder can get rid of that Incarnate, but we're going to take a big hit. We're going to be low on life. It's going to suck. And I'm going to... It's tempting to hit the Rogue's Passage here, because that could be a big problem later, but I think I have to hit the Mountain and try to keep him off of Chandra's Ignition, because that just ends the game. It puts us in way too much danger. So we have to try to keep him off it, even though it's really tempting to take out the Passage. The fact is we're not going to get very far blocking the Incarnate. We have to remove it with a spell. And if he has the Outland Colossus here, that stinks, but let's see what happens. Down to 8. Please pass the turn, please pass the turn, please pass the turn, please pass the... Yes! Alright, we're in the game. So we go land, we thunder that thing. And we do that instead of renewal, because renewal is often fool's gold. Like if that thing's still out there and he plays a land, a mountain, and he plays Chandra's Ignition, it does a lot more damage to us than the 7 life that the renewal gains. Ah, that sucks. Brutal. Alright, now we don't have a choice. We have to kind of try to renew our way up to 10 mana and get Ulamog to deal with that thing. Ugh, this is really bad. There's the land we need, so now all we need to do, cast this and survive. And it's going to be a tall order for him to get there. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. Taste the rainbow. I love the 3 different color kind of fetching with Nissa's renewal. Just feels so good. Feels so right. So here we go. He's got to finish us. Or he has to, you know, do enough damage that he can finish us despite Ulamog. It's gonna feel like deja vu for our opponent, you know. They got Ulamog last time right on time, and we're gonna do it again. Blister Pod. Yeah, Blister Pod. About sums up what I think of Blister Pod right there. Not that good. So, do we have the mana to next turn do From Beyond, Fetch, Swing? We're 1 short. If we top deck a land, we can do it. What I mean by that, if I'm going too fast, is fetching Oblivion Sower. That's not a land. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have the mana to do all that, and have mana up to activate From Beyond if we want. So that will be the plan, and that will play defense while Ulamog plays offense. Please exile all mountains. The opponent has an interesting Gruul Monsters deck. They are likely not completely unlocked, which has a lot to do with card choices, but it's interesting. He's got a lot going on. The Hellkite I remember, the Revelation I remember, Omnath, there's an Ignition. Both Hellkites are there, 1 Rolling Thunder. I think there were 2 Rolling Thunders in the deck, so he might have 1 in his hand. No Outland Colossus, so, but that isn't in the hand, or he cast it, so it's probably still in the deck. There's a question about what is the best deck you can build with just Magic Duel's Origins cards. The Xbox One tournament was won by a deck that was all Origins cards, and it was a Thopters deck, and it's a deck that I created. They took it from my blog, and by take it, I mean you're welcome to take it. It's not like it was stolen. But it was, the person who used it got it from my blog, like back in the Origins days, so... yeah, you can do fine with an all Origins deck. Go check out that Thopter list. It's Barney's Thopters if you look up the Xbox One tournament on NGA, or on my blog I mentioned it in one of my in my most recent entry. I put the deck list. So go to Onflower's Duels Diaries and read the latest list. The Black Barney Thopter deck that won the whole Origins tournament, or not the Origins tournament, but the whole Battle for Zendikar season tournament, had no Battle for Zendikar cards. It was 100% Origins. So you can still make a great deck with or without Battle for Zendikar cards, apparently. It's kind of amazing, because I think that Battle for Zendikar added a lot of power to the format. I mean, these cards are great, but it really just pushed the heck out of Ramp, you know what I mean? And it made Ramp a really good player, but that doesn't mean it made all the Origins decks bad. The decks that I think got pushed out, so The Gruul monsters, like what my opponent is playing over here, was Zendikar Incarnate and Perilous Mirror and things like that, and kind of Chandra's Ignition, kind of the mid-range red-green deck. I don't think that's as good anymore, because Ramp is just better. Ramp goes over the top of it and beats it up. So that deck evolved into Ramp. The deck that I think died is the Golgari deck and the Sultai deck that was all about like Evolutionary Leap with Visionary, Gate Creeper Vine, Fleshbag Marauder, just a bunch of value creatures, right? That you just kind of ran over and over and over, and you just abuse them for all this value. Because now what happens is if you're dirtling for all that value, you know, playing with your Evolutionary Leap, your opponent's like ramping up and they're messing with your mana with Acid Moss, and then they cast things like Ulamog, or they cast Planeswalkers like Obnixilis and Gideon, and none of your value stuff deals with that. And so that deck kind of died. But Thopters didn't really die. You know, Thopters is still Thopters. And it still gets to basically play its one-sided game plan of make a lot of dudes and swarm you. So Thopters is still very, you know, it's still there. And it's still good. And it's still a force, I suppose. I'm going to draw some cards. So that does it. So that's what we'll keep. Oh, shoot. I forgot about that blister pod. Oh well. I guess that's what I get. So now, I was trying to end the game so that our opponent can't stall out for another turn, but there you go. There you go. Now they can. And hope that I leave the game. It's not very sporting behavior, but what can you do? Yeah, so guys, that's why Blister Pod is the tech. So when your opponent goes for the planar outburst kill, you can be like, boom, I make my 1/1. Now what you gonna do? Now hopefully they just left the console and they forget to block. Let's see. You do. This is also pro tip. You do have to remember to block with your Blister Pod Scion token in this scenario that I described. And they don't. Okay. So he just got mad and left the console, I guess. Abandoned ship. Don't blame him. It sucks. You're playing Gruul Monsters. Gruul Monsters is a fun deck. It's pretty neat. But ramping to Ulamog is just better. It's not... Gruul Monsters isn't a thing now. Ramping to Ulamog is. Sorry. Alright guys, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife, watch some movies, because that's what we like to do on Fridays. And thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, this Steam Showdown deck. Let's show the deck one more time just for kicks, but of course you can always find it on No Goblins Allowed. You can always find it on Haunted Flower Duels Diaries, where all that stuff gets posted and posted and posted and posted some more. Infamous Gemini has organized a little tournament with 16 players, double elimination, and the deck lists for that went up, so I might write about that, and I might play some of those decks, but I'm still working my way through the Steam Showdown decks. This is GTFL's. I gave it a B. I think I'll stick to a B. It is a worthy deck. It is crowded at 4. It does have very little game early, and I think it will get red deck owned. But it will do well against other ramp decks, most likely. Alright, calling it. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. I'll be back.